O'Loughlin.
And I will be brief. And firstly, I want to congratulate the Minister on his position. I've worked with him in the Committee of Education and Skills, and I know how committed he is to this area, and I don't doubt that he will make a difference. I also want to congratulate my colleague, Deputy James Brown, on his motion and on all his work in the last 16 months in this area, and I think it's been quite incredible. I've spoken on this topic a number of times in this chamber, and to be honest, I think we never talk about it enough. We could actually spend every day in here speaking about mental health, about positive mental health, about what we need to do to promote positive mental health and to help those that are in crisis. But I'll just talk a little bit about what I feel from the educational aspect. And, one question that I would put, and we as a committee put, because we did have a special session on promoting positive mental health in our educational services, and both through formal education and non-formal and informal, because that's hugely important in terms of what goes on outside of the school day, but within another type of setting. And is school preparing our young people for life? Is it preparing young people for a life of tests, or is it preparing young people for life itself? The recommendations that we made on our committee was that stress management and resilience should absolutely be taught, and I say taught rather than caught, because sometimes there is a sense that when young people are in an educational environment that they will develop those skills on their own, but they can't. Some will, but there are many that are vulnerable and that will flounder and absolutely need to help find that inner strength within themselves. So are we just about education of the head in our system? We need to think about the education of the heart. We need to think about the education of the soul. And surely if we do that, we will equip our young people going ahead with life. I mentioned about preparing children for a life of tests. I had a very interesting conversation with a career guidance teacher, Sean Nolan, recently, and it was at the Cycle for Suicide rally in Newbert. Sean is the career guidance teacher in the PBS there, and it was an incredibly enlightening conversation, and he actually coined this phrase: are we preparing children for a life of tests or for the tests of life? And I think that there's huge resonance and significance in that we can certainly ponder on. Managing stress and building capacity to cope with tough times are absolutely vital skills for our young people to survive and to thrive. Robert Frost, that great poet, when he was asked once about what life meant, he said that he could summarise the experience of life, or what he learned about life, in 3 words, and that is, it goes on. But it doesn't go on for everyone. It should go on. But when we hear about young people taking their lives day after day, week after week, we realise that the future doesn't necessarily go on, and it really behoves everybody who's involved in the educational system, and it behoves us as legislators to ensure that the schools and the teachers are given those resources, are given the training, are given the extra supports, and also those groups that take on a lot of this work outside of schools. Groups like KYT, like Greece Theatre, like many different organisations that actually really work with young people to help them develop the skills that they need. And we've so many excellent community organisations that work with people who are vulnerable to really try to get them centred again. Places, again, like Hope D that we have in Kildare, those groups need extra supports and help. There's a lot of excellent volunteers helping to run these organisations, but the need to have seed money, and I would like to certainly see a situation where they are supported financially through the Exchequer as well. I think it's fair to say that, when we're all born, we're born probably with fears and with inadequacies about ourselves, and we tend to think that maybe we're not good enough ourselves, and we tend to think that, you know, we're going to fail, and sometimes that can happen. But we are born with enough, and we are born with the inner mechanisms that if we can get the help and support to develop those necessary life skills, we will certainly thrive. Gurv Malgat, thank you.